Hey everyone, I wanted to get started with our assess and review for the week. I actually did this on Thursday and it recorded it with no sound, so I had to redo all of my videos again. So finishing up on this one, I wanted to get to you as quickly as possible. So I'm going to take a quick look at financials for Universe 1, and it looks like everybody's really close. So Allie's on top on round 4. Just verifying where we are. Yep, round 4. And Allie's on top with 2.3 for sales revenue, and then Casey at 1.5, Bethany at 1.6. You guys are kind of all neck and neck there. And then when we look at overall profit, Allie on top at 756, Casey at 341, and 413 for profit for Bethany. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the market reports. And when you look at this, Bethany actually has more market share. So she's a little bit higher in Tech 1 and Tech 2 than Allie is doing. But my guess is her prices are lower. So when you take a look at this, you have to kind of balance on your price being too low, because if your price is too low, you have less revenue coming in. Which is less profit for your company, so that's a problem. And then Casey's at 13, and so she's sticking it in there with Bethany for price, but her price is much higher. So she doesn't have as much market share, but she's making as much profit and revenue because of where her prices are at. So that's kind of a really good illustration of that. And then Allie is somewhere in the middle because clearly her profit and revenue is a little bit higher. So when I look at this, Bethany, as an example, probably should have this price for Tech 2 up a little bit higher. Her price for Tech 1 is pretty comparable. Casey might be able to bring this up a little bit higher based on where her market's at if she wants to make a little bit more money in that Tech 1 space. And it's not all tied to price, because look, her market share isn't quite there. It might have to do with profitability as well. So we'll take a look. We'll kind of peek in there in just a minute so you can see what's happening. I'm also just going to take a look and point something out on Tech when I look into each of the areas too. So Casey has 4, and her price for Tech 1 is really low. So for sure I would adjust this based on how many features you have and just bring that price up a little bit. And it looks like Bethany ran out, which is one of the conditions and what happens when you start pricing things a little too low. She ran out for Tech 2. And if I look a little bit further, I think she runs out completely in Europe. So you can see here, ran out again of Tech 2, also ran out of Tech 1. Tech 1 I'm less worried about because her price is a little bit more comparable there, but also ran out there. And then looking at Europe, didn't sell any in Europe because she ran out. So when your capacity is limited, you have to really balance that with your price then, and the price is just much lower than everybody else. So you need to make that balance. So for Allie, when you're looking at this, you can see that, Casey's at 470, still selling some here. You had a lot more demand here. Maybe that price could be up even a smidge higher. Because you ran out. So it's really a balance of how much capacity you have and how you price it. If you have a finite capacity, you can't sell it for Walmart prices, because you don't have infinite product, if that makes sense. So that would be the one thing that I would be most worried about. Bethany, again, sold out 100% capacity, but did not have as much revenue and profit. So that would be one thing that I would worry about. Allie at 87%, that is a decent number. Casey 26, not utilizing your own capacity real well. So Casey, I would get rid of for sure all of this. It looks like you have an Asia plant, so I would get rid of this as well for your own production. And Bethany might need to amp this up if you're going to keep those prices as low as you are. And Allie, take a look at where you might need a little bit more support capacity. I can see for next round, it looks like Kyle is going up, but otherwise everybody else, Casey will get a couple more, but not too much more. So I think you can operate with this many plants. It's just you need to make sure that you're doing what you need to. Asia is a big market. One plant in Asia is not a lot. 17, a lot. And so, Allie, I'm not sure that I would go up any higher with that. I think we could increase your utilization by staying right where you are. I think this is probably too many when you look at where everybody is at here. So I'm going to go into the decisions for Universe 1 real quickly. and show you just a couple of things that I noticed. So I'm going to go to Bethany's page as an example, and I want to look at marketing. I'm going to look at, well, I can look at this one. If I look at round 4, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so you want to make sure that every one of these matches. So your total features need to match your number of features. So this should be a 4 and this should be a 4. So you're not selling all the capacity or all the features that you have. The other thing is then looking at, this is your unit cost. So this one, if I change this, I'm going to just go to round 5 so I can change it. It won't let me otherwise. If I go and change this to 4, you can see that she is at 138, I think, from a cost perspective with 4 features, and she's selling it for $250. She's not making much of a margin on that at all, based on that price. And then if I do, and that's also based on her demand as well, what she thinks her demand is going to be. And this goes down, so she's making almost $200 more on this one than she is on Tech 2, a unit. And that's going to happen a little bit when you introduce something new, but that's a lot. The other thing that I would notice is because she ran out in Europe, this from the US should go US, Europe, Asia, US, Europe, Asia, so you don't run out in Europe and you have enough to go to each area. I'm going to go to Allie, I think. Looking at Allie, I want to just take a quick peek at marketing and make sure we don't have any. And so for Allie, one thing I noticed too is right here, this should be 4. So make sure that you increase those to match. You want to be selling what you have available to you in both Asia and Europe, and do that. Oh, the other thing that I would notice, and maybe it's not Allie, maybe it's Casey. Take a look at Casey's in this area as well. And she did the same thing. So 5 and 2, you need to make sure that you're updating your features. The other thing for Casey, because your price is not that off and you're not selling as much, you're not promoting it as much. So I would increase your promotions to be pretty consistent in each of the areas. You're promoting in Asia $20,000. In Europe, you're not promoting it at all. And you got like, what, 8,000 for that product. So it's the same number of units in each country. This is in US dollars. Make sure you promote it equally, and the more you promote it, the more people will want to buy it. So I think that's the issue with Casey. And then for Allie, I would just make sure that you have all of your features available to you here. And it looks like you're promoting it pretty consistently in each area. You could increase that if you wanted more awareness of your product. That would be something you could do. And I would also do US, Europe, Asia for all of your technologies, and that will help keep that. For these, again, unless you had 100% capacity, and specifically because Allie has Asian plants that she's not using, so let me show you, Allie, how to do that. So you have your technologies here, and I think you should have, yeah, so you have the capacity to build here. These should be 0. Like, you should not be using your contract manufacturing. You need to use your actual manufacturing. So you have unsatisfied demand for Tech 2. I would make sure to have some Tech 2 and Tech 1 here. And then I would have this be 0 and this be 0. Oh my gosh. Oh, I think because I'm in the wrong round. Hang on. Let me go to round 5. I keep changing everything and nothing changes. Okay, so I would do 0 and 0 here. And then I would do 50. And you're gonna have too much product because you have too many plants. So that's standard. Not much you can do about that unless you cut your production a little bit. So now we see we don't need any contract manufacturing. We have plenty for each of our locations. If you see how much your demand is in Asia, so I'm gonna go over here and take a look at Asia in my demand. I'm looking at, I don't know why this is 0. Shouldn't be 0. Update your demand appropriately. This should, yeah, this is not updated appropriately. So you want to be increasing your demand each round, right? Not a lot, a percent or two maybe, but more than what you did the previous round. Okay, so okay, so this would be a lot, right? I mean, you're pretty big, but you want to make sure your estimate is right, because then on your production alley, your production page will be more accurate. So now you're not really all that oversold, a little bit with Tech 2, so maybe you just bring that down a little bit. Let's see what 30% does. Here, Tech 1. I like to have a little bit of a buffer, and then maybe one is like 45. You really should use all of this because you're already saying you're not going to have 100% capacity allocation, but you're going to have a much better capacity allocation than you did before. So this is the capacity units that you can make, and this is what you're producing here, the percentage of it. So right now your estimated production is 3,000 plus 2,000, and that will be less than this. And you have more in Asia, and so I adjusted it so you produced a little bit more in Asia. So I hope that helps. I went through it kind of quickly, but it'll give you a little bit of an idea of what I was thinking. Have a great week.